Hello! Yes, I said hello. And welcome to the War Room. This is day 72 of Russia's incursion into the Ukraine. And if you're here and you joined me on your busy Friday night, thank you, and good evening to you. I set up the stage and I forgot to post it on social media, which I just did before hitting the button. So I suspect that the people jumping in will be here a little late because I sent the notification late. Because that's just what I do. Anyway, I think this intro's a little bit loud, so I may tweak the volume just a hair. But for today, I'll leave it the way it is, because it fades out just like that, as you can see. And it looks like the finest of apes is the first person to join us in the chat tonight, so good evening to you. If you hear me doing a lot of sniffles tonight, I apologize. Apparently, we had just enough rain yesterday to trigger a lot of airborne mold in the area, and guess what Pwnery is allergic to? Ah, Shady Hill is here too. Sweet. Good evening. So, thank you for spending your Friday evening with me. Much to the dissatisfaction of my female companion, but she's cool with it. She knows I do these now, so she's like, do what you gotta do. It's cool. But, you know, after the show, my ass is hers, so that's how it works. I'm okay with that. That's a cage I willingly walked into, and I'm totally fine with it. Anyway, so yeah, it's Friday, and to close out the week, I thought I would put up this colorful painting for the thumbnail for the day, because I thought that was a pretty monumental achievement for the Ukrainian Navy to knock out its 11th ship. Sorry, its 11th enemy Russian ship. So, good on you. Little early Slava Ukraini for you. But anyway, yeah, my sinuses are a little screwed, so I'm probably going to sound a little bit pluggy or nasally. My apologies. I'm trying everything I can right now to clear that up. Including these ridiculously powerful drops called Fisherman's Friend that Scott turned me on to. They're pretty strong. They're not. They're the strongest things I've ever had. If there was anything stronger, I'd probably take those instead, though. Like I live my life plus P plus clearly. Anyway, no, it's not cheap cocaine. I don't do booger sugar. Not anymore. Anyway, sorry. I just thought I'd pull that little Stephen Wright under the breath thing. Ah, good evening, Randy, and thank you. There was a time that I was considering moving to Clarksville because I have a friend there who just retired, and him and his wife decided, or him and his fiance at the time decided, well, she's got a house, I got a house, and after they got married, they had an extra house. So he was like, dude, come on over, it's all yours. Just like, I don't know, I chickened out. Maybe I should have took him up on it. Maybe I'd have a Appalachian girlfriend. I don't know. That'd have been cool. I'm okay with that. I don't know. I've been accused of being an incubus, so, like, I find something good in everybody. I find something amorous in everybody. I guess that's a good way to put it. Anyway, let me just summarize the week, because I don't get to do the week in review like I used to do every Saturday morning. But, send a copy of that picture on... What picture? Oh, the thumbnail. Okay, yeah, I can do that. I can do the unblemished version if you want to see that one later. I'll just put it in like the War Never Changes room if you'd like to see the original. I could definitely do that. It's in 4:3 like that though. It's not widescreen. Anyway, let's see. My new holster showed up today, and it would appear that I did not make a mistake the last time I ordered holsters. I ordered the exact same size of the one that I'm replacing. So the magazine still didn't fit quite well in it, I guess? I don't know how to really describe that. Anyway, VersaCarry has holsters in 3 different sizes. This time I made sure to order the smallest one, or at least I thought I did. And it's exactly the same size as the one I had the gun into. For those of you who don't know, the gun I'm talking about is a Smith & Wesson 3913 third gen all steel uh, semi-automatic 9mm. It's also known as the Lady Smith. So, for those of you who don't know, most of my pistol collection, or gun collection, pistol mainly, are guns from movies or television shows. That's my shtick. And the 3913 Lady Smith happened to be the pistol that Andrea from the Walking Dead television series carried. I saw it and I liked it, so I wanted it and I bought it. And I slightly overpaid to get it, but I got one, so it's like it's cool. Like I don't have to buy it again. I already have it. But I think what ended up happening is I had the right holster the entire time, but I had smashed a double stacked magazine in the holster. So I get the type of holster from VersaCarry called the Commander. So it has a partition just in front of where the pistol goes for your spare mag. And I think what happened is I put the 3913 in a holster that I already used for a different gun that had a double stacked mag because it kind of flopped around a little bit inside the mag holder. So when I got the new one, I was shocked when I saw it was the same size as the one I just bought. And I thought, damn it. So I thought, wait a minute. It's a new holster. When I push the magazine in there, it's going to take the shape of the single stack one now. And thankfully, I was right, so it fits. Hurrah. So now I have a better fitting holster for this 3913. I don't believe I've done a video on this yet. For some reason, I had this compunction to record all my wheel guns, which is why I had the Pwnery's firearms reviews for the last like 6 weeks of just wheel guns. I think that's all the wheel guns I currently own. So what I'll probably end up doing next is I'll start getting into I don't know if I want to do just my carry pistols first or what. I think what I'll do is I'm going to record the next 3 episodes of firearms reviews, and I'll cover my 3rd gen Smiths. So it'll be the 3913 Lady Smith, the 5906, and the 4006 TSW California Highway Patrol Police Trade-In, which I'm rather fond of that gun, actually. And I modified 2 out of the 3. Yeah, I modified the 3913 and the 5906. I put it in an LPA adjustable rear sight in those, and while I had the sights out, I disabled the magazine disconnect safety. I took the guts out of it so you can fire it without the magazine in it, because I think that's stupid. But with the 4006, it already came with some pretty decent Novaks, so that one I still think has the magazine disconnect safety. Whatever. It's just I don't want to take it apart just to get rid of that stupid nubbin in there that's underneath the rear sight. So anyway, enough of that. Today was supposed to be another good day because do I have a code for your channel for VersaCarry? No, but they have a sale right now, and I'm not supposed to tell people this, but I think it's going to work the same way it did last time they did this. On occasion, VersaCarry will do a sale for their blems, and you use the code BLEM50 during checkout, and you get your holster for 50% off. I ended up jumping on their website last year when they did this sale, and I picked up their shoulder rig, which is normally $189, and I put in the code, and it took, and I got it for $89. So, if you want to try it, go to their website, versacarry.com. Belts, holsters, all of their stuff, and then during checkout, just put in the code BLEM, BLEM 50, and just see if it works. Because I know it did last year. I bought like $600 worth of leather for $300. They didn't say nothing. They just sent it, and I'm just like, cool. And none of it was BLEM. I'm just like, okay, cool, all right. So, yeah, I carry almost I carry almost all their holsters exclusively. I think the only I think there's only two holsters that I bought that weren't theirs. One was a DeSantis for my Hudson, and the other one, well, yeah, I know I'm not ratting them out, but the Blem 50 thing was supposed to only be for blemished, but I think the code works on everything. Anyway, my other holster was a DeSantis for my Hudson, which I still use for the Hudson because it's perfectly fine. And then I bought a IWI, Israeli Weapon Industries holster. It's the only plastic holster I own, and I don't like it. So I ended up buying a VersaCarry full-size holster for my Walther Q5 Steel Frame Match Pro. Anyway, let me drag my other host in here before he thinks I forgot about him. So good evening to Scott, and I'll just continue where I left off with you guys in the audience. But the thing that was supposed to be really cool today was I was supposed to get my new toy. And I know I'm being vague about it, but I'm trying not to tell everybody what it is so you can see it in the video when I record it. And I was really planning on recording it tomorrow. Unfortunately, UPS completely failed. So let me put this into perspective. 2 miles directly south of my shop is the UPS depot for the entire part of South Houston. 2 miles 2 miles west of my shop is my FFL. UPS was supposed to deliver it to my FFL. It didn't get to my FFL today until 2 or 3 minutes after I pulled into my driveway after work. I was pissed. So he texted me and he was like, "Oh, hey, your rifle got here." And I'm like, "Cool." And he says, "You want to come by tomorrow and pick it up?" And I said, "Well, as much as I'm eager to get my hands on it, can I just come by and get it on the way to work on Monday? Because it's 14 miles. And it's supposed to be like 96 degrees tomorrow. I really don't feel like going out there on my day off." So I'm just like, "Is it cool if I come by before work on Monday?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's fine." And I said, "By the way, it's a kit build. I was a little squeamish on getting one. How did it turn out?" And he goes, "It looks great." He's like, "You're going to love it." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll see you Monday. Maybe I should go tomorrow." But yeah, I'll go Monday. I mean, what I'll probably end up doing this weekend now, my dad goes in for back surgery on Tuesday. That's going to be a shitty day for me because he's terrified. I got to take him there, drop my mom off, and then I got to take my gangster car, which is a Chrysler 300, and drive it to work, which I'm okay with that. I like that car, actually. I wish it was better built, but I like the car. And then I got to do my work, and then I got to go back and pick her up. And no, I did not pick up a helmet. Besides, if I needed a helmet, I would just hit up the Germans, because apparently that's all they're good at donating to the Ukrainians. Like, "Oh, here's some helmets." But,
Oh, no.
no,
They
no.
donated them
Shh,
artillery
shh,
pieces.
Today's stories, relax. Getting there. We'll get there. Spoilers.
Yeah, but that was like a week ago I heard that.
Well, yeah, but now I actually know exactly what they're sending. It's kind of cool. It's super cool, actually. It's not just towed artillery. Um,
No, they're self-propelled.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So anyway, um, let's see. Randy says that he bought 2 old Beretta 92s because of Lethal Weapon. Funny that you should say that, because my to-do list is to buy 2 Beretta 92 Inox Ghosts. 2. Scott knows exactly why. I could live with just 1.
Because I want them.
Yeah. I could live with just 1, but maybe I will buy 2. And I found a company that makes an extended barrel, 6 inches instead of the 5-inch, because it has to have that bit on the end. Unthreaded, but it has to be there because of exactly... Yeah, I know. I have a T-51B helmet, which I hope you know how I got that, but I do have a T-51B helmet, and it has a working voice modulator and the helmet light. And it's actually sitting in a
Because
box right.
somebody spent way too much money
Yeah,
on
I
it.
did. But I really wanted it, so I
And the
bought
bad
it.
question is, have you checked it for mold lately?
No, because I basically what I did is I got it, I put it on my head, I stuck the batteries in it, I turned it on, I tried the voice modulator, I turned on the light. I was like, oh, cool, it works. Then I took the batteries back out of it, threw it back in the box, threw a fistful of desiccant bags in the box, and then taped it back shut and put it back behind my monitor, and I haven't touched it since. So like,
Hmm.
it's safe. It's even in the original canvas bag, and it like all the cards and toy figurines that came with that kit, it's still in the box. I don't know why I'm hanging on to it. I just wanted the helmet, but I don't know. Maybe some neckbeard 20 years from now is gonna pay me like 10 grand for it. And I'll be like, okay, here you go. Anyway, what was I gonna mention? Oh yeah, I wanted a Beretta 92 Inox Ghost because it needs to be very, very silver. And then I want to send the slide to Patriot Polishing Company out in Florida. I might try it myself first, but if I can't get it to look the way I want, I'll send it to that guy. And then I already bought the sword cutlass grips. They're fake ivory grips with a Jolly Roger and two crossed cutlasses uh, emblazoned on it. Oh yeah, see, Fine Ape already knows. That's exactly why. Yeah. So see, okay, I could just stop talking about it now because you knew exactly what that is. This is why you're the finest of apes because you already know. You're like my spirit animal, I guess. Yeah, I'm building the Black Lagoon pistol, which I should have done years ago, but I I don't know. I just kept buying other stupid shit like a wall full of milsurps. Anyway, yeah, so the rifle's waiting at my FFL. I'll go pick it up Monday. I got the what is this called? I forgot the name of this company. I keep forgetting. Uh, JMac Customs. I got their brake for it. It's already here. I got my 40 round mags. It's already here. So that should give you an idea of what I bought, sort of. But if you don't know what I bought, then it is a ship of the line with the Russian flag. Yes, I think someone photoshopped the Russian flag on there. I'm not going to say who, me, but you get the idea. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I have 10 stories for you today, so I promise to get you out of here in an hour. And since I've already wasted 18 minutes of your time, even though you've all come and, you know, thank you, let's go ahead and get started. So, my first story for you today is actually a UK Ministry of Defense update, which I used to get these every day, but now I just get them whenever they feel like doing them. So here you go. And basically, it just reiterates that Russia continues its assault on the Azovstal ironworks and steel facilities. It's the second straight day. Despite the fact that Putin directly ordered his military not to attack it and just to sort of surround it until everyone surrendered. But then again, he didn't really, did he? Because he said, don't attack. Don't go in there, don't attack. I don't want to lose any more military. And then literally the next day, Tu-95s fly overhead and drop bunker busters all over the area. That's why he didn't want you to attack, because he didn't want to kill his own men. Let's not kid ourselves. So anyway, as the intelligence update clearly says, I'll just read it out for you. Russian forces in Mariupol have continued their ground assault on the Azovstal steel plant for a second day, despite Russian statements claiming that they would only seek to seal it off. The renewed effort by Russia to secure Azovstal and complete the capture of Mariupol is likely linked to the upcoming May 9th Victory Day commemorations and Putin's desire to have symbolic success in Ukraine. It's all show and pageantry for this guy. This effort has come at personnel, equipment, and munitions costs to Russia, whilst Ukrainian resistance continues in Azovstal. Russian losses will continue to build and frustrate their operational plans in southern Donbass. This is sort of reinforcing General Jack Keene's point that Russia just sucks at all things military these days. He tried to push into the capital, failed. He tried his logistics 40-mile convoy, failed. Then he had to retreat. He came back across the east, technically failed because the Ukrainians have been pushing back and regaining territory in the northeast near the Russian border, despite the fact that he keeps pushing in the southeast for coastal cities, and he still hasn't taken them. You have to remember, the Azovstal Steelworks is the Alamo. There's no other military or personnel anywhere in Mariupol. They're barricaded in this one complex, and he can't beat it. And he's been attacking it for what, 6 or 7 days technically. It's just the last 2 days he finally got Russian infantry to breach the perimeter, but they still haven't claimed it. They were like firing around along the perimeter for days. They had bombs dropping on it for days. Now you move the military in, and they still don't have it. Like the 36th Infantry Brigade and the what do they call it? The Azovstal Brigade or the Azov Brigade or something like that.
Yeah.
They linked up, and they've been holding it, despite the fact that they've got like 50% wounded. They're still fighting. It's amazing. It's really amazing. Because it's just making Russia look stupid. Anyway, moving on. That story started actually at about 8:45 local time Ukraine. I forgot to mention the timestamp. So we're going to fast forward an hour, and it's going to be 9:45 local time Ukraine. And it says nearly 500 civilians have been evacuated from the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. This came from Andriy Yermak, the head of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's office, Friday. Or he said Friday. The next stage of rescuing our people from Azovstal is underway at the moment. Now, that has to be done between skirmishes, because supposedly Putin made an agreement that he would have certain hours where the civilian population would be allowed to evac, probably under the supervision of the Russian military forces, because if they saw a bunch of soldiers coming out, they probably would have just started shooting at them. So they claim almost 500 people have been evacuated, but there was over 2,000 in there. So take it for what you will. Okay, so now we're going to fast forward another 3 hours, 2 hours and 45-ish minutes, and it's going to be 12:30 lunchtime Berlin. Yeah, and Sechamens, let me give you a picture here. There you go. Sechamens plan to send 7 self-propelled howitzers. They're known as Panzerhaubitzer, or howitzers. Anyway, in the coming weeks, that could hit targets 25 miles away to Ukraine after it reversed a policy against supplying heavy artillery in battle. This came from Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht. Today, actually, she announced this today. Germans will be training a group of Ukrainian soldiers who have experience with Soviet-made howitzers starting next week in Germany. The Netherlands responded to this and said they will also send 5 of theirs. So, yeah, that photo you're seeing there, that's the Panzerhaubitze 2000.
And you think the German ones are nice? You should see the Dutch ones.
Well, basically what these are is it's their version of the M107 Paladin, right? Towed mobile, self-propelled gun, massive range.
The Dutch one, I believe, was auto-loading.
I think these are 2. Because they only have a crew of like
Which
3.
Which is badass.
Yeah. But I mean, they're like satellite and GPS targeting and, everything. They're nice. Oh, and they're air conditioned. That's like super nice, right? Man. So does that mean if we go for a fight for Ukraine now and we see one of these abandoned on the side of the road, can we claim that one? Would that be cool? I mean, it can fire horizontally. So like if you came across a tank, you can traverse that gun 0 degrees and just blast that thing into oblivion.
And that tank is not going to take that.
It's not going to take it well. No, you ain't
No,
shaking that one off.
no. That one's definitely going to penetrate.
Yeah, yeah. T-72 ain't gonna. No,
T-14 ain't going to do shit
no.
against that.
Thanks for coming.
I mean, the average tank gun's what, 120 millimeter?
Um. Okay, so yeah, ours
Those are
are.
155s.
Yeah, ours are. Our NATO weapons are. Funny enough, they're German. They're Rheinmetall
Rheinmetall.
L7 120 millimeter smoothbores, and then
Yeah, same as the Brits, same as the
same as the
Germans.
Germans. Yeah, we're all using the same one. The smaller caliber ones for the medium and lighter tanks, it's the L5, which is a 105, but it's basically just a scaled down version. Really, really
Well,
good gun.
the L7's the scaled up version
Yes, really good gun.
because the original Abrams had a 105.
Yeah, that was the L5. That was actually what the M60 had too.
Yep.
Ah, sweet. Thanks. Good evening, New York Outcast. All right, so let's move on, and it's roughly around the same time. And let me see, do I have a photo for this? It's a long story. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's another Azovstal update. So here you go. And it says Ukrainian fighters defending the Azovstal steel plant devastated Mariupol's last Ukrainian holdout. Plan to stand till the end. So it is the Alamo. As Russian fighters continue their second day of a ground assault on the plant. What's the show? The show is called The War Room. This is where we do the day-to-day timeline of Russia's war in Ukraine. So I try to like put together a timeline of stuff that happened for that day. And I try to like keep the human interest stories out because they really don't work with timeline, do they? Anyway, let's see. The wife of Azov Regiment Commander Denis Prokopenko said that the fighters won't surrender. They only hope for a miracle. She said she spoke to her husband on the phone Thursday and said that he would love her forever. And she says she's mad from this because she says that his words always seem like a long goodbye. I am not. No. I'm in Texas. The Ukrainian military's general staff said Friday that the blockade of units of the defense forces of the Azovstal area continues, and that Russians, with aviation support, had resumed assault operations to take control of the sprawling plant. The Russians managed to get inside the plant Wednesday with the help of an electrician who knew the layout. This came from Anton Goroshenko, an advisor to Ukraine's Internal Affairs Ministry. He showed them the underground tunnels which are leading to the factory. So basically they had a traitor who narked out the layout of the land, which gave the Russians an advantage for their attack, more or less. Let's see. He showed them the underground tunnels which are leading to the factory. Russian President Vladimir Putin had initially said forces would just seal off the plant rather than launching a full-scale assault on it and its labyrinth of tunnels, claiming he didn't want to risk Russian lives unnecessarily. But with Russia's annual Victory Day celebrations on Monday, experts believe he wants to ramp up the speed to its inevitable conclusion in taking the plant. But the assault also came at the high cost of personnel, equipment, and munitions, according to Moscow. Putin claimed victory in the city last month, despite Ukrainian fighters remaining inside the plant, refusing to surrender. Nearly 500 civilians were evacuated from the steel plant in the last 2 days. This came from Andriy Yermak, the head of Ukrainian President Zelensky's office, and according to the Kyiv Independent. Ukraine also said that Russia's continued assaults are preventing the remaining civilians in the plant from escaping. There are many wounded fighters, but they are not surrendering, Zelensky said in his nightly video address. They are holding their positions. Russia's latest estimate said that there are still around 2,000 Ukrainian fighters within the confines of the plant. The Pentagon on Thursday said that only about 2,000 Russian soldiers remained around the outskirts of Mariupol, with the others moving north, even as Russian airstrikes continue to bombard the facility. They're only making plodding progress. This came from, well, the admiral, retired admiral, John Kirby, who is now the Pentagon spokesman. There was a theory that Russia would be desperate to try to get this wrapped up by Sunday so they can make their claim on the 9th that they've achieved victory. However, I have a story that sort of negates that theory. So sit tight, I'll get to it. For sure, we'll get to that. All right, so let's fast forward again. We're going to go about 4 hours forward, and it's about 4:30-ish in Moscow. And this was a rather fun story, actually. So here you go. You remember this guy? You probably know him as the lapdog, because that's what I keep calling the bastard. Russian Foreign Ministry, or sorry, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lapdog was spotted Friday in his first public appearance since President Putin reportedly apologized on his behalf over incendiary remarks he shot at Israel. Lapdog attended a flower-laying ceremony in the commemoration of former Soviet Union foreign ministry officials who died during the Great Patriotic War, a term coined by Russia in reference to World War II. Lapdog does not appear to have publicly commented yet on remarks that he had made that caused an international spat and prompted Putin to apologize on his behalf, according to Israel. The foreign minister this week alleged that Adolf Hitler was Jewish and suggested this claim supported the belief that Jews can express anti-Semitism. The highly controversial comments were made as an attempt to defend Putin's talking points to support the illegal invasion in Ukraine. The Russian president has repeatedly claimed that his special military operation is a move to denazify Ukraine. Ukrainian international community and the international community have rejected these claims as a guise to justify his deadly war as he looks to regain former Soviet territory, pointing to the fact that Ukrainian President Zelensky is Jewish and he was democratically elected. Yeah, kind of a stupid look, isn't it? According to the Israeli Foreign Ministry Thursday, Putin apologized to Prime Minister Naftali Bennett for the remarks, though a direct transcript of the call has yet to be released. The Russian readout from the call did not mention an apology and instead stated that both countries carefully preserve the historical truths about the events of those years and honor the memory of all of the fallen, including victims of the Holocaust. Lapdog drew international ire after he told an Italian news outlet that for some time we have heard from the Jewish people that the biggest anti-Semites are Jewish. When they say, how can Nazification exist if we're Jewish, in my opinion, Hitler also had Jewish origins, so it doesn't mean absolutely anything, he added. Remember, I'm quoting, this is not me saying this. But despite Putin's alleged apology, the foreign minister's comments have drawn condemnation from other nations hit hard by Nazi occupation during World War II. Representatives from Poland to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe on Thursday accused Lapdog of reviving a disgraceful anti-Semitic trope and condemned his attempts to draw one of the most sinister anti-Semitic myths in an effort to discredit the president of Ukraine and his government. Shit, I was just thinking of something in real time as I read that out, and now I forgot what it was. Damn.
He's a piece of crap.
Well, no, definitely, without a doubt. No, I can't remember now. Huh. Oh, yeah. I think one of the most fascinating things about this whole war, this whole conflict going on, is the monumental number of violations of Godwin's law. For those of you who don't know who that is, Godwin's law was it's an urban dictionary thing, okay? And basically what it states is if there's ever a conflict that leads to argument or debate, as soon as one side mentions Nazis or Nazi Germany or Hitler, the discussion is over. Like, just, it's over. Just shut up, it's over. Right? And unfortunately, because Putin used denazification as his justification for this, quote, special military operation, it has been nothing but just offense after offense after offense. Every time someone says Nazi or Hitler or just anything like that during this conflict, my brain shuts off. It's like, just shut up. It's over. You broke Godwin's law. Fuck off. This is just some crippled old asshole trying to legacy build his 1961 Cold War map and to jerk off to it. That's all this is. It has nothing to do with Nazis. It has nothing to do with Hitler or Germany. Fucking none of it, okay? It's just a dickhead in Russia trying to legacy build because he's got stomach cancer and he's gonna fucking die. Just do it quicker. Rant over. Anyway, it's funny. Like, I get that impassioned about it, but I have no vested interest in this war. I'm not Ukrainian. I see this as history in the making. So anyway. Oh wait, I gotta see that picture again because you just mentioned that. Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. So now we've become the fashion police. Lapdog, your tie sucks. And your glasses are too big. Yeah. And somebody didn't tie your bow correctly either. You should just execute your fashion czar, whatever you want to call it. Anyway. All right, so let's move on. I was just reading the chat. Okay, we're gonna move forward about an hour, and it's dinner time, which is I was gonna quote that thing from ICP, but forget it. 5:37 p.m. local Ukrainian time. This is sort of a post facto story, I suspect. Maybe not. No, maybe not. Maybe this was real time because it would have been morning for our side of the country. Phew, you're not gonna believe this one. Here you go. Yeah, yeah. The newest member of the Democratic Party, matter of fact, President George W. Bush, former President George W. Bush, and new ally to the DNC, apparently, praised Ukrainian President Zelensky as the Churchill of our time following a virtual meeting Thursday. Hey, good job, George. You're only like fucking 40 days late with that assumption because we've been calling him that since day 20 when he was actually, I don't know, reaching out to active world leaders, not people like you who just want to become relevant again and make appearances and talk shit about those in power these days. Anyway, I was honored to spend a few minutes talking with President Zelensky, the Winston Churchill of our time, this morning. I thanked the president for his leadership, his example, and his commitment to liberty, and I saluted the courage of the Ukrainian people. This came from Bush in his statement. Actually, it's actually quoted right there, too. Sorry. President Zelensky assured me that they will not waver in their fight against Putin's barbarism and thuggery. I love that word, thuggery. It just feels heavy. Americans are inspired by their fortitude and resilience. We will continue to stand with Ukrainians as they stand up for their freedom, he added. Zelensky's office detailed the call and said he thanked the former president for the support of the U.S. Americans are sincere, open-minded people, and I feel it. We have common values. I feel that it is from the heart. No, Americans are sincere, yes. We are open-minded people, yes. You can feel it from the people who are not in government. Anyway, Zelensky reportedly told Bush, "Our conversation is important to me because you are an example of a strong leader." Okay. Zelensky drew on the events surrounding September 11, 2001, and recalled how many Ukrainians at the time sympathized with the American people and shared their pain. Though Ukraine is not a member nation, it supplied troops for the war in Afghanistan during the aftermath of 9/11 as part of the International Security Assistance Force. Now that I didn't know. The U.S. has been a leading nation in support of Kyiv during Russia's more than 10-week-long war and has supplied billions of dollars worth of defensive aid. Late last month, President Biden requested over $33 billion from Congress to provide security, economic, and humanitarian aid to counter Russia's aggression. The monumental sum has not yet been agreed to, on the Hill and politics closer to home, like infighting over immigration, reform, and COVID funding that could also derail this package. Hmm. Russia has increased its aggression in Ukraine by focusing its efforts in the eastern and southern regions of the country, in an effort that, if successful, would create a land bridge from occupied Crimea to give Russian dominance over all of Ukraine's Black Sea ports. I want to take a sidebar here for a second, because that's something that people haven't really talked about much. And I think there was a giant opportunity lost if you were a Ukrainian military planner. There was a time where the Russians had retreated back to Belarus from the northern flank because their push in Kiev was a complete and utter failure. And during that time, it took them nearly 2 weeks to basically recoup their losses, retake inventory, resupply their soldiers, rearm them, and do the end around, moving them all the way around Belarus, back across Russia, and then hook back around into the Donbass region. There was a 2 week delay there, right? If I was a Ukrainian general, I would have taken that opportunity to attack Crimea, effective immediately. Commit every plane you had and attack the Crimean Peninsula and drive all the Russians into the sea. Because you would have taken away his foothold in your country. I mean, think about it like this, right? What the Russians had done would be like Canada. This is hyperbole, obviously. I'm just trying to geographically put this together, okay? Imagine if Canada attacked the northern states of the United States right now and attacked the eastern seaboard at the same time, all while holding the state of Texas as its, I don't know, separatist territory, right? Think about that. They held Texas the whole time while attacking the north and the eastern seaboard. They failed in the north. They went back up to Canada. They went back around to Halifax and then hooked back in and attacked the eastern seaboard again. All the whole while holding Texas. And now they're trying to take Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi to create a land bridge to hook in the East Coast that they are succeeding in taking. So they have a land bridge to Texas. That's kind of like the same geographic, battle plan. The opportunity was lost.
So what you're saying, a lot of rednecks are holding them up.
Well, no, I'm saying that if you have the enemy in your backyard on your southern flank the entire time, and you have driven them out of the entire northern battlefield, you should commit all your forces to wipe out the southern flank while they're in retreat in the north. Because they don't have time to rearm and push again. You see what I'm saying? If they wiped out all the Russians in Crimea, then the only thing they would have had left is the Donbass, Luhansk and Donetsk. So everything they would have fought for would have just been the east. And then they could have just driven them out from the east. Instead of having to worry about, oh God, they're down there in Crimea, and they're holding, they have ships down there, and they're fighting us on the east. And then, there's always that fear of what if Belarus jumps in, and then we left our northern flank empty. So they would have to keep a home guard up there. I don't know. I think they should have took the time to take Crimea back. Because if you wiped out Crimea militarily off the board, then the Russians are like, shit, we have a land bridge to nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, they would have wiped that out, and then they would have been like, well, there's no military advantage to having Donetsk and Luhansk. There was to have Crimea for all the seaports or whatever, But if you took that away from them, do you really think they want these two shitty little places in the east? No.
Yes.
Well, it's not as military and strategically as important as that
No,
peninsula.
but it still gives them a launching off point to attack them again.
Well, they got the entire eastern coast of Ukraine that borders with Russia to do that no matter what. They're just trying to take bites out of the apple to make the country smaller and smaller and weaker. That's essentially all it is. And if they did make the land bridge from the east all the way to Crimea, and then Odessa falls, then essentially Ukraine becomes a landlocked country because now they've lost all their coastal cities and all their ports, which means anything they want from the sea, they have to get cleared through Russian customs. And I think Zelensky would hang himself before he allows that to happen. Like, he would not tolerate that. No way. Which is why it's so important that they don't lose Odessa. Which is, I think, why everyone's stepping up their efforts to donate equipment to the Ukrainians right now. Because if they get landlocked, this war's over. It's just over. So, we'll see. Let's move on, though. Sorry, that was a long tangent. It's just, I observe things and I just say them out loud and bounce it off the guys in the chat. So HVS was saying, so a land bridge instead of a pipeline. Correct. They wanted to have like this large swath of land that would be unopposed so they could move heavy trucks and things, that way. Rail, trucks. Because logistically shipping from the Caspian to the Black Sea, it's not very advantageous. But having a rail and truck line from, say, Moscow and Stalingrad through the eastern part of Ukraine down to Crimea, that makes more sense. There's more logistics routes that way, which is why they want it so bad. I think realistically, they just want to take over the whole country, but at this point, they're only going to take what they can get, which is why they want to landlock the country. Anyway, let's move on. Roughly around the same time, so we're still around 5:45, I guess, is a good way to put it. Do I have a photo for you for this? I do. Okay, so this one's called War Crimes. Here you go. 5:40 p.m. Ukrainian Standard Local, time on the ground. Oh, referring to Canada. I get it. Now I get what you're saying. Okay. Amnesty International says that it has documented war crimes by Russian forces around Ukraine's capital city. The organization reported that it had collected evidence and testimony in 8 cities near Kyiv, including Bucha. Images from the city sparked international outrage, though Russia did not take any responsibility, calling the photos of bodies in the streets staged. Russia has claimed that it hits only targets with military values, denying allegations of war crimes. Right, because, the giant theater in Mariupol that had warning signs made out of gigantic stones that said children inside, that's a military valued target, right? Okay, just making sure. Kyiv Regional Governor Alexander Pavlyuk said that at least 1,235 civilian bodies have been found in the region. The pattern of crimes committed by Russian forces that we have documented includes both unlawful attacks and willful killing of civilians. This came from Agnes Calamard of Amnesty International's, or she is Amnesty International's Secretary General. It is vital that all of those responsible, including up the chain of command, are brought to justice. Sorry, honey, that's not going to happen unless you go into Moscow and grab them. The group's report said the executions in Bucha were carried out with specialized rifles. Oh, you're going to love this, Scott. They were carried out with specialized rifles used by elite Russian units, and Amnesty International staff found 7 N12 armor-piercing rounds with a 9x39 black tip at the murder scene. Didn't that just start becoming popular here in the States, 9x39?
It had, and then sanctions kind of killed it.
Yeah, see, that was kind of on my wish list too. I saw like IV-88 get a rifle done in 939. I'm like, ooh, I want that.
It's
Anyway,
basically fucking 450 Bushmaster. Something
yeah,
along
I
those
think it's
lines.
like their version of it. Smaller though, because it's 9 millimeter. But I think it's more like their version of 375 Traumix. That's probably more accurate.
Or a 350 Legend.
Yes, yes, yeah, roughly about the same size actually, which is also on my to-do list. God damn it. Anyway, I just love how it's 7N12 armor-piercing rounds, 9x39 black tib. It's like I'm just making a shopping list just reading that. I'm like, I want that, I want that, which are used by elite units of the Russian army. It also says researchers found evidence of documenting specific units of the Russian army that were involved. We have met the families whose loved ones who were killed in horrific attacks and whose lives have been changed forever because of the Russian invasion. We support their demands for justice and call on the Ukrainian authorities, the International Criminal Court, and others to ensure evidence is preserved that could support future war crime prosecutions. Reuters reported back in April that Ukraine is preparing war crimes charges against at least 7 members of the Russian military, only 7, and is investigating some 7,600 potential war crimes and at least 500 suspects. Okay, I'm going to just pause for a second here because I'm going to add a different picture that I wanted to show you yesterday, but I didn't know where to put it, and now I know where I'm going to put it. Let's see, war crimes tally. Because I got this photo yesterday, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Let's see, pretty sure I have it in here. Yeah, I called it the War Crimes Tracker. Here you go. So this is just to give you an idea of what they're talking about here, and it makes for some pretty fucking sobering reading. So I'll just leave that up. You guys can read it or pause or something in the replay if you want to see this. So yeah, they're investigating 7,600 war crimes and at least 500 suspects. Well, according to that, it's 9,831, but yeah, it was counting, right? The United Nations has also opened its own inquiry into possible war crimes. The Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, you've probably heard me mention that a few times, recorded 6,731 civilian casualties, including 3,280 killed. However, OHCHR believes that the actual figures are as much as 3 times higher. Of course it is. The UN said that as of Thursday, there were more than 5.7 million refugees from the conflict. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, which is Japanese for tea, said 7.7 million, or about 17.5% of the total population of Ukraine, are currently displaced. That's a lot of people. This conflict has been causing extreme human suffering with thousands of civilians killed and injured, and countless others living through daily bombardment and violence. UN human rights experts and the Global Protection Cluster coordinator said this in a Friday statement. Homes, schools, hospitals, care institutions, and entire cities have been destroyed. Mines and explosive remnants of war continue to pose alarming threats to civilians, including those remaining in their homes and those fleeing the conflict. We are appalled by the disturbing reports of violations of international human rights law and violations of international humanitarian law, which may amount to war crimes. What do you mean may amount? They will amount to war crimes. Jesus. Anyway. Yeah, I really like that war crimes tally thing because I got that yesterday. I was like, ooh, I want to show you guys this, but I just didn't know where to put it. And thankfully today gave me the segue to do that. But anyway, if you catch this on the replay and you want to get those in specifics, just pause it and you can see it, in full screen and kind of get an idea what we're talking about here. Whichever side commits the most war crimes wins. Ah, you see, you left out a very, very big detail. And because I was such a huge fan of the series Dexter, despite the fact that I hated the ending of the new series, rule number 1 is don't get caught. So it's whoever side commits the most war crimes and don't get caught wins. Anyway. No, ocha. That's Japanese for tea, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, let's move on. and get rid of the war crimes tally.
Did you hear how they
And
tracked down one of the Russian soldiers?
like, didn't he like tag the side of a building with his username or some
He
shit?
tagged the house with his username
What a
on fucking Instagram.
fucking moron.
Russian.
Russians doing stupid things.
Russians doing Russian things.
I'm sorry. If I was going to graffiti buildings just to fuck with people, I would like graffiti the British way they draw a penis. Like, you remember
Well,
that?
that's
You remember how they did that on like the drawbridge? So it
yes.
looked like a giant erection.
It's the modern Russian version of Kilgore was here.
No, that's what the stupid Z is for. And then the Ukrainians decided to respond with their version of the Z, which I find that highly entertaining.
I think the Ukrainians found that highly entertaining.
Yeah, let's just start stacking bodies in the shape of Z's. Why not? That'd be great. Like, they should stack enough Russian bodies to make a Z that could be seen from space. That would be epic. Or just, like, push all the burning wrecks of all these tanks that they've destroyed. So it makes one big flaming Z. I would pay to see that. I would pay to see that. Anyway. Moving on. Sorry. I'm making a mockery of a war. I shouldn't be doing that. About 5 minutes later, I get a story out of... No, it's Ukrainian, but the source is the Pentagon, so this should be good. Oh yeah, because they're on the defensive. You're going to love this. Do you remember this? This piece of scrap that's sitting at the bottom of the Black Sea? I mean, it's a beautiful ship. Was. Now it's just scrap. Twisted wreckage. 2 giant holes in the side of it. 3, actually, because the ammo explosion, too. Anyway, the Pentagon is pushing back on reports that U.S. intelligence helped Ukraine target and sink Russia's Moskva warship, the pride of the Black Sea, and the flagship, back in mid-April. In a statement late Thursday, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said the Ukrainians have their own intelligence capabilities to track and target Russian vessels, as they did in this case. We did not provide Ukraine with specific targeting information for the Moskva, Kirby added. We are not involved in the Ukrainians' decision to strike the ship or in any operation that they carried out. A senior U.S. defense official also said, we do provide a range of intelligence to help Ukrainians understand the threat posed by Russian ships in the Black Sea and to help them prepare to defend against potential sea-based assaults. Isn't that sort of contradictory to what I just read? From a different person? Yes. Anyway, many of the missiles fired at Ukraine have come from Russian ships in the Black Sea, and those ships could be used to support an assault on cities like Odessa, this official continued. A U.S. official on Fox News, got you a source, in mid-April, that the U.S. assessed the Moskva was struck by 2 Ukrainian Neptune missiles before it sank. The U.S. believes the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Navy was roughly 60 nautical miles south of Odessa at the time of the explosion. Moscow has claimed the ship sank after a fire on board caused an explosion. Well, yeah, but what started the fire? See, they won't admit that part. So what was the name of that channel that I found recently, Scott? The one where they reenact, like, sea battles? You remember that?
Ghost Rider?
Ghost Riders, yeah. So, one could
They're more
argue...
plane junkies
Yeah. But,
than anything.
if you guys didn't know, there's a channel, I think it is called Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm going to try to pull
Ghost
it up.
Riders.
Yeah. It's on YouTube. Pull it up, and you'll find a video about the feasibility of what sank the Moskva. And they use, I think it's DCS World or something like that, to run the
That's
simulations,
what they're using.
which is pretty damn accurate. Like how certain Navy vessels react, how the radar systems and things would react. It's very, very accurate. Like, that's one thing I like about that game. I liked Cold Waters because it was actually the assistance for the AI was given by Russians and U.S. Navy people and like French Navy people and Swedish Navy. Like they really got the details down, dangerously close, like Tom Clancy close, where they come knocking on your door saying, "How did you know about this?" That's how good they got it, right? Anyway, yeah, the Grim Reapers, exactly. That's what it's called, the Grim Reapers. Uh,
Okay.
so they did the simulation of firing Neptune missiles, and I think our T-LAM, right, the Tomahawk. They
Yep.
tried it with the Tomahawk, and the Moskva's radar guided, basically their version of the Sea Whiz, it caught it because the Tomahawk actually cruises at a much higher altitude than the Neptune. It only drops down to water level when it's within, I think it's 500 meters of the target, which means it's caught on radar long before it starts its descent. And then the Russian anti missile systems took it out. They ran the simulation, it took it out. Whereas the Neptune, it launched those off the coast. It reached a cruising altitude of like 500 feet, but as soon as it like started to head towards the target, like it elevated to 500 feet, and then like the tracking system, you know, maneuvered it in line with the target, way off the coast or way on the coast, way away from the ship, and then it dropped down to water level almost immediately. So its entire travel time to the target was at water level during a storm with 30-foot waves. So they proved like Moskva's anti-missile systems never saw the missiles coming because the waves kept interfering. They couldn't see the missiles because they were cruising at the same height the waves were. And, you know, one would argue if the wave was like rising at the moment that this missile was about to hit the ship, it would have hit the wave, right? So like it was perfect timing. It was just like a series of perfect timing. And both missiles hit. Like no doubt about it. One simulation they did, one missile got shot down but the other one didn't. And the reason that was because they did it in fair weather and it caught one of them and didn't catch the other. But when they did actual weather conditions the day it was struck, both missiles hit. And they were like, "Well, gee, that was surprising. Clearly their systems can't see through water. Their anti-missile systems. They couldn't detect anything over the wave." So like it's pretty good. Or they tested our harpoon. Yeah, okay, they did it with the harpoon. That's what it was. They fired the harpoon and then they fired the two Neptunes and they tried it and that's how it got caught. You're right. Yeah, it was a fascinating video. I thought that was really, really cool. Either way, we know the end result. The ship kind of languished around for a day, smoking, burning. There was an ammo rack explosion. They tried to tow it desperately back to Sevastopol, which is in Crimea, which should have been under attack ever since the Russians retreated from the north, but somebody didn't suggest that. But it never made it to Sevastopol because it sunk. Aww. Aww. Sorry.
You didn't happen to hear the newest, have you?
There's an 11th ship sunk, but I don't know which one it is.
I don't know if it's the 11th ship, but I know they attacked another one with two more of those missiles.
That's the 11th ship. That was
And
today.
I believe it was the Makarov.
Ooh. Wait, that's an old one.
I believe. Oh.
Huh.
They're throwing T-72s at them, so the Russian Navy is not exactly in great shape.
Huh.
Especially the surface fleet is pretty freaking old. Pretty busted ass down, too.
Huh. I don't know which one did. Like, I don't have an update for that yet.
I think I saw it earlier.
I'm sure we'll get updates probably tomorrow. Likely, we'll probably get it tomorrow. They'll cough up a name for it soon enough.
See, Fine Ape does not agree with you.
What?
He thinks it was harpoons.
No, he was right. He was. It was. They tested it with. Well, what it was is the Grim Reapers tested. What if we shot a harpoon at it, and it got shot out of the sky? Then they tried the two Neptunes on fair weather, One got shot out of the sky, the other one hit. And then when they did actual weather conditions of the day it was hit, with like high waves and rain, both of them got through. And okay, so he thinks that they could see it, but they couldn't get a tracking log. In that video, it shows the different anti-missile systems on the ship, and they very carefully paused it at certain sections, because you would see that if the inbound weapon was detected, these anti-missile weapons would have been in a state of readiness. Like the launching platforms of these anti-missile weapons would have been like turned and in position, and they never reacted. They were still sort of in an at-rest position. So it was like they never saw it coming. If they had tracking lock, those things would have been up at the ready and like scanning for it, and none of them did that. Now, granted, this is a simulation, but the simulation is based on how the actual systems work, and the only theory they can come up with was, well, the rolling seas were too much of an interference that they could never catch a lock. They could never see it coming. I mean, it's hard to say, because those Neptunes are made to travel inbound at water level for its, for maximum non-detectability
So
on the way to target.
it's for their terminal phase.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you're not. Well, no, that's the
The
thing. You
harpoon
see,
does the same thing.
the harpoon, I think it sits at it flies towards the target at 500 feet, and then in the terminal phase it drops down to water level. Whereas the
Yeah.
Neptune, it drops down to water level almost immediately after it's launched, and then it travels the entire time at water level. At least that's the way it was explained. We have a missile that does that too. T-LAMs. We use T-LAMs on submarines. They do the same thing. They elevate up out of the water, and then they arc like a big rainbow arc, and then they settle back down to water level as they track towards the target. So like a torpedo launched or a vertical launched T-LAM does the same thing that the Neptune does. But apparently the Harpoon doesn't. It actually flies higher, and then it comes down at the last moment. There must be a reason why they do it that way. I don't know what it is. I'm not a munitions guy. Apparently, I don't know shit about war either. Bet you didn't expect I was going to use that one. Anyway, let's see. We were talking about. Let's see, who brought it up earlier? It was Slonging Dong. He was asking about dropping a big nuke. So this is the story for you if you're still in the chat. 6:47 p.m. evening Ukraine local time, and actually it's 6:47 Moscow time too. Oh Jesus! No, it's not that. What it is the people who programmed those models are former military people, just like they did in Cold Waters. They get it as close. They get it as close as they can without declassifying how actually good it is. They're 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 really striving for more accuracy because like the players demand it. You know what I mean? It's like saying, "Don't give me a flight sim that can give me an A-10 Warthog that can do Mach 2 because it's just not realistic." You know, that kind of thing. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying it's 100% accurate, but it's far more accurate than simulators of years past because people demand it to be as real and immersive as possible. Matter of fact, I don't think it was DCS, but there was another simulator that was built as a game that was eventually adopted by the Air Force as a training simulator because it was that accurate within, not declassifying anything or whatnot. But that was mainly for flight control systems. It wasn't for actual weapon systems. Anyway, let me get to the nuclear story now. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesman claims that Moscow will not unleash nuclear weapons during the war in Ukraine, despite top officials' threatening rhetoric in recent weeks. Alexei Zaitsev said Friday that we have reportedly refuted insinuations about Russia's possible use of nuclear weapons in the course of the special military operation in Ukraine, which has now lasted 72 days. Russia adheres to the principle that there can be no winners in a nuclear war and that it must not be unleashed, Zaitsev said, according to a translation. Russia is aware of the threat posed by irresponsible behavior in this area. Scenarios for Russia's possible use of nuclear weapons are clearly spelled out in Russian doctrine. They are not applicable to tasks in the special military operation of Ukraine. So, when I read that, I thought, wow, they just took a page out of the DNC playbook, didn't they? Preemptively accuse the other side of something that you're guilty of yourself, right? Putin says not to attack the Azovstal steel plant because he can just wait them out. But then the next day he just starts attacking it, right? Putin says that they didn't use chemical weapons in Aleppo. But the day after, like a day later, chemical weapons were used in Aleppo. Now you've got the Russian Foreign Ministry saying they will not unleash nuclear weapons against Ukraine. But they still haven't taken Azovstal, and they're trying to get it done by Sunday so they can brag about it on Monday, May 9th, which is their Victory Day parade for destroying Nazism in World War II. I suspect they're going to get very impatient by dinner time tomorrow, and they may do something rash on Sunday. Just a theory. I guess we'll know in 2 days. You're right. They only ran one sim that was successful. Well, okay, in the video they only ran it the one time. I don't remember if they mentioned how many times they tried it. But that would have been kind of interesting, I think, if they ran that same simulation with the same settings on the video like 5 times. At least 5 times. And if it did the exact same thing in all 5 tests, you'd be like, huh. But the first time they ran it, it failed. Let's be fair. The first time they ran it, they did it in fair weather. And it knocked out one and it got hit by the other one. But it wasn't like a fatal hit. The second time they ran it, they actually tried to mimic the weather conditions of the day that it happened. And both hit. And then I think what their job is they're just supposed to postulate what happened. They're not saying it's fact, but they are saying it's a maybe. And that's better than nobody knowing how it happened. The thing that surprises me the most is nobody's got any visual of the Moskva at the bottom yet. Now, granted, they're probably not allowing any towed, sonar arrays or anything like that to even go near where it sunk. But I guess we'll know soon enough. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And even to like Patrick's credit, it's not gonna be perfect. But it does get people thinking, and that's a good thing, Like, well, it's got enough variables to make it feasible. I guess that's a good way to put it. But it can't just be discounted as, oh, it's just a game. It'll never do that. You can't do that anymore. It's not like games when we were kids. Like the games when we were kids were grossly, just terrible. Like the UIs were garbage. I mean, even in like first-person shooters these days, like the UIs were garbage 10 years ago. They've gotten better. A bit better. I won't say they're epic or anything. They got better.
Yeah, they attacked the Admiral Makarov.
That's what it was?
Yep. It hasn't been destroyed, but it definitely got hit.
Well, something sunk today. I can't wait to find out what it is. Like like the actual details of it, I can't wait. I can't wait for like 5 years from now when this war is over, that Robert Ballard gets to dive the Black Sea and show us what's left of the Moskva.
Nope, apparently it wasn't the Makarov.
Well, something sunk.
Yeah, something got sunk.
They recorded it today as +1, so I was like, all right, cool. All right, anyway. I think, yeah, okay, so this is the last story I've got for you today. And surprisingly enough, we already went over the hour, but here you go. What you're looking at there is part of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. I have a friend who actually designs and builds these things. Well, yeah, you're saying the same thing we're saying. Okay, anyway, Yeah, I have a friend who actually designs pipelines and oil rigs and things like this for a living. And I just see that and I just see a bunch of tubes. Like I know it's more complicated than that, but anyway. Uh 6:49 Ukrainian time. Actually no, this is Moscow time again. Russia is looking to ease strains on its own market caused by massive international sanctions and gas boycotts by opening the Nord Stream 2 pipeline domestically. The West heavily relied on the threat of shutting down the controversial pipeline in an attempt to preserve Ukraine's sovereignty in the lead up to the invasion. Moscow dismissed the threats and on February 21st announced its recognition of the independence of the separatist nations of Luhansk and Donetsk in eastern Ukraine. Germany the next day blocked the certification of the $11 billion pipeline, and just 2 days later, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced his special military operation in Ukraine. Russian owned energy giant Gazprom has since decided to use part of the pipeline to boost its own domestic consumption. Reformatting the Nord Stream 2 infrastructure will be a significant help for the Russian market and gasification of the regions. The publication said that this decision would create opportunities for launching new gas projects throughout Russia. The deputy head of the National Energy Security Fund, Alexei Grivak, said that the move does not mean Russia is abandoning the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, but said given the uncertainty of the project, it will utilize the pipeline as it can use it for now. Nord Stream 2 would have fueled gas from Russia to Europe via Germany through a pipeline that cut under the Baltic Sea, bypassing a pipeline that was once heavily relied on runs into the Ukraine. According to the U.S. Energy Information Agency, Russia in 2021 was the largest natural gas exporting country in the world. Sorry, that was my Clarksonism. Derailed me. The U.S. and European allies went after Russian oil exports following its deadly invasion into Ukraine and vowed to cut off all oil ties with Moscow. The U.S. blocked all future purchases of Russian oil, while several European nations made moves to completely sever oil purchases by the end of the year. The EU, Russia's biggest energy importer, further proposed this week to ban all Russian oil from Europe. But even with sanctions and boycotts on its number one moneymaker, Russia is still expected to reap the substantial income boost to its energy export profits this year. Bloomberg Economics forecasted in April that Russia could still see a 36% increase from profits made last year, in large part due to spiking inflation rates. Nations that encompass the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and Russia have refused to increase their oil production despite globally spiking energy prices brought on by post-pandemic inflation and Moscow's war in Ukraine. This means prices at the pump are expected to remain high, while nations like Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Russia will see an economic windfall this year. Well, basically, everyone's going to suffer, and these assholes are still going to be rich. But how's that different from any other time in history? The rich will stay rich, the poor will stay poor, and we're going to be stuck in the middle. It's just how it is. Now, I'm going to take one quick look at this, but I'm pretty sure I don't have any updates for it. Let me look. Yeah. Yeah, so my feed had already shut down for the day by the time I did this to be on air. So unless you've got anything else to add, Scott.
Nope, I do not.
Okay. So in that case, I think what I'll do is I'll play this. Because we ran a little bit longer than I thought we were. 120 today. And since the music's slightly quiet, I can go ahead and give you a programming note. There will not be a war room tomorrow evening. However, if you are a member of my server or want to join it, the link is in the description below. I will be streaming basically the fight of the decade, if you're a boxing fan, because it literally is Rocky versus Ivan Drago. Tomorrow will be the Canelo Alvarez versus Dmitry Bivol fight for the light heavyweight championship of the world. So if you want to come and watch that with me and anyone else who's going to be here, come join the server, tune in tomorrow, and you'll see it, because I'll air it. This was the War Room. This was Day 72. Slava Ukraini, and good night.